Welcome to the Louchen Bros podcast. This show is hosted by Brian Louchen
and Kevin Louchen.
And we are bros who talk about nerd stuff.
So we got a nice, exciting episode today. We're going to be covering a movie. It's called The Toxic Avenger, circa 2023. And so this is basically about, it's a remake, but it's about a guy who's a lowly janitor and is not so good town, and his company's kind of running it to the ground with toxic waste. And so this guy finds out he's got failing health, and so he goes to the company head and basically gets tossed aside. So he decides to rob him. Coincidentally, somebody else is also trying to rob them, and they kind of he gets caught up in it, and he ends up getting shot and then left for dead and tossed into a vat of the chemicals, and it transforms him into this mutant, and he is hideous, like it shifts his eyes. It's pretty cool. But it coincidentally also kind of saves his life. But then he goes off to kind of get revenge on the people, the company that kind of wronged him, and just evil people. And then he becomes kind of a hero and saving his son, as well as the I guess town or city at that point. But yeah, he's didn't expect to do that, and it happened. So I mean, that's, like I said, that's it in a nutshell. So Brian, what were your impressions first off with this, huh?
So I didn't see the original movie when it came out.
I did.
I mean, I was 3 years old.
Well, not when it came out. I wasn't even born. It was 1984.
But I'd never seen the actual movie, so I ended up just going back and watching it recently. After watching the remake, the 2023 version, and both movies were really fucking weird. I mean, they ended up, I don't know if you know this, Kevin, they made 3 sequels to the original movie.
I know.
And I'm kind of
a curious. Cartoon show. I had the Toxic Avenger toys at one point too. I was really into it. Yeah. That. Oh yeah, I used to watch the cartoon.
Even though it was kind of bad, I kind of still would want to get a T-shirt of it.
Dude,
because.
Yes.
But yeah, the CEO of BTH, that was Bob Garbinger, and we'll talk about who was casted as him later. But yeah, the story was very interesting, him surviving with the chemicals and being mutated, think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but again, a superhero. And yeah,
also, the Ninja Turtles are superheroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Not originally by the comic, but we won't get into that.
Well, these were supposed to be super soldiers, not Ninja Turtles. But I digress. But yeah, he ends up being essentially bullied by a bunch of bullies in both movies, actually, and then he wants to give back and be a hero, so he goes around helping grannies and people that have been wronged by this different company and stuff like that. And then the gang that killed him, Kevin, I don't know if you saw the name, they're called the Killer Nuts. And I was what is happening?
Well, they were a music group. They weren't just the gang, they were a music group. I mean, I have very mixed feelings. As I said, I got a lot of history with the old one. Yeah. In fact, I actually watched it even a couple years ago, randomly for no reason. I didn't even know this was out until 2 weeks ago, to be honest with you. I was like, holy cow, they made a remake? What the heck? But no, so I just watched it probably 2-3 years ago, just out of interest, because I'm like, man, I remember this when I was a kid. And it hit in the exact same way it was when I was a kid. It was terrible when I was young, and I loved it. Now, I won't try to compare too much, because we wanted to cover more of the new movie, but it's hard not to remove that element because of, especially with my experience. So overall, I thought the storyline was good, even though I liked some of the original storyline better. There was a love interest, there really wasn't in this one. So that was kind of I liked how they showed him more as a hero in the first one. They didn't have that in this one. All of a sudden he just showed up at the restaurant and that was it, and they already had hailed him a hero. So like there seems like maybe they skipped ahead a little bit and just made proclamations off the idea like, oh, this is what he's going to be. I don't know.
I agree, because in the original, he was portrayed as basically a nerdy janitor who basically got bullied, who ends up getting a love interest, and I think it tied in the story a lot better with him also having conflicted feelings between killing bad people and then also being a good person too and doing good things. So he kind of had like he was a tweener as far as between the good and the bad side. But the new one, he ended up just trying to do it for his son, so the plot was different in that sense, because again, he was basically being treated like crap. He didn't have insurance because he had cancer, I think, and he tried to talk to the COO, and they're, oh, we'll take care of you, and then throws him out in the back, and all that shit happens to him where he gets mutated.
Yeah, he's like a classic anti-hero concept,
Yeah.
right? So it totally works. I think both stories do work. I just like elements of, I think, the original a little bit more. However, the overall story, I think, is better in this one, definitely. I think you get to see him have some character development. The surrounding characters are a lot better. As far as that goes, like the gang, the music group, I thought was definitely an interesting twist. Although you don't get a whole lot of characters out of that, I just think that was super helpful. It was more of a big business rendition, whereas in the original was so like it was just like this guy who had had a couple bullies in his vendetta almost against them, even though he did become like a superhero for the town. So it's almost like personal and small, like if they were in a rural town where it's like only a few hundred people, that's what that was the equivalent of. Whereas in this was literally a big city equivalent. So it was a little bit more like big business ruining everything, and that was more the key element, whereas in the old one, that really wasn't a huge thing, although that was happening from a big business. It didn't focus on that. The development of the evil villains was better in this one, but there was an element that was missed that I liked better in the first one, meaning you had a mayor and the town officials were corrupt, and you see him towards the end get arrested, but it's like, I don't think you saw him on the screen more than once or twice, and that was it. So it's like you lost that corruption element, which could have played to a bigger story, potentially, because like he's talking to the toxic character's talking to an FBI agent, I think it is, at the end of the movie. It's like, wait, what the frick just happened? You just kind of like there's I guess certain liberties maybe that were taken, or maybe there were scenes cut out, and that would have tied things in better. Sometimes I did read about a behind the scenes thing where I guess a prosthetic penis was used, and I was like, oh my god, that's pretty terrible, but I might have to look for that because it might be funny.
Well, we'll save that for the special effects section, but yeah, for me personally, they were definitely two different stories, and again, we're talking about the original too. We definitely suggest you guys going back and watching that.
Whoa, let me pause you there. You have to understand, and I want to get into this shortly. I'll let you go on, but you have to understand what your kind of movie you're watching.
It is pretty dirty as well. Both of them are rated R. There's killing scenes, there's nudity, there's language, there's drugs, there's alcohol. I mean, there's partying. I mean, it reminded me of the old time when I watched the original, the old time Meatballs movie, and like National Lampoon's movie.
It's a classic '80s movie.
Yes, it's a classic '80s movie, but they were definitely two different stories. I feel like the personal story, the original, I enjoyed that one actually better. But as far as the corruption aspect of it with big business, the newer movie did a lot better of a job as far as that corruption aspect of it. And then developing kind of the villain in that sense, like you were kind of saying, Kev, as far as in the new movie. So they're definitely different stories, but they definitely had different strengths and weaknesses between the two as well.
And see, that's, I think, the reason why I still like this, but maybe still partial to the old one, is you got to look at two things, and I'll cover some more of the second part of. First off, Troma itself is the company, I think, that produced it, but Troma was known for kind of best way to put it is like B movies, but I'd say bad movies, but in a good way. Like that's what the original Toxic Avenger is. It's a bad movie. It's done with like clunkiness, bad acting, under par special effects. There's an element to that, and people like that. Evil Dead was the kind of the same way. If you guys get into that, like there's an element that provides that you kind of was almost removed, and so that there is a disconnect, and I'll cover some of that later of why that actually I didn't like with the newer one. The other element of it is, I think the big overall thing to me is I think, and this may sound crazy, the actors in this one were too good to be bad. They were too good of actors. It was too good acting that it wasn't bad acting, and therefore I didn't like it as much. I know it's kind of a weird concept, but it's like, when you get a B movie, you don't expect great acting mixed with maybe some great lines, and there's, like I said, some clunkiness to it, and that's what Trauma kind of was. And it's like, it was kind of overall in general, like that element was almost removed. And at times when they tried having some of it, it seemed too manufactured and designed to be that way. And it didn't mix well, in my opinion. And I know it's kind of hard to pinpoint. There are certain elements I can point out, but like they tried to be goofy, but it was like trying too hard, because it was like these actors that are way better than that, and it just didn't come off the same way. As well as the story was trying to be an element of like a B type movie, but like the special effects were a lot higher end than they were before. So it's like it's like a low budget concept with a high actual budget in comparison. And I think it's kind of those two concepts that weren't mashing for me. And so I felt like it's hard to, maybe I'm not explaining it well, but there's an element there that I definitely felt in the remake that I would like. Don't want to get into too many characters. Oh, you know what? I'll just save that for when we get to characters, and I'll explain more what I mean by that. But
so there was some elements of the story, like the quotes and some of the actual the text captions or some of the signs in it.
Yes.
That to me were freaking hilarious. Like old shithead district.
Yes.
Corporate fartplex was one, and again the name The Killer Nuts was freaking hilarious. Fancy Pants Award Banquet was one. Just Yonder Spooky Woods. Just different stuff like that in the actual movie were fucking hilarious. And then some of the quotes, like, he's an ugly son of a bitch.
I got some quotes.
And I got summon the nuts.
Yes.
And this one's perfect for you, Kevin. Eat your fucking beard.
Yes, that was good. I like that. I had, I promise you, I'm not going any, and then he gets blown away. Like, that was perfect timing. He has the, they're dangerous. We have to go in very hard. And he's like, I am very hard. And then another one, he's like it was kind of like meant to be a serious, and he has he's chained up and he's with this other, this girl, and he's sitting there and they're trying to break out. He's got these special titanium chains and he can't get out of them. But you learned earlier that his pee is very caustic. And so he's like talking to her and they're like, we got to get out of here. My stepson's in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, all of a sudden he's like, I got to get my dick out. Like, it was like the last thing you would think you would say to somebody. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so I'm like, this... Like, stuff like that element was still like a trauma element. It was still like kind of like just crass, and I love that element. So that was there. Like, there was the scene where Toxie murdered one of the guys coming after him, and he was like behind a corner, like, I'll put it on, and he was like shaking him, and he's like, hey, come over here, guy, I gotta show you something. Like,
that part was fun.
That to me is just dumb in a fun way that I like. But then, like, there's a guy that's just flipping around in the band that's just like doing parkour, which I kind of thought was funny. But the way he dies was just, it wasn't even funny. It was just dumb. He just like flips and then he could stop, but he's like, and like he kind of keep going. And then he just goes off the stage and all of a sudden blows up. I'm like that's an element of it, but it was just not even funny to me. I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, that was like, how did he have explosives on him? Like, that was the part that was like, I didn't make sense. So there, like, and then of course his freaking, his mop, which does become like his weapon element, which is fine, but it stayed in one position the whole movie. It didn't move. It was like a witch's broom at a certain point where it just stayed, and it's like, how does it, like...
It was toxic and radioactive, Kevin. Come on. It was believable.
So, but like, it just, what they mixed too much of the unbelievable with believable, and it's just like, this is weird. Like, why did they make it hard like that? I don't know. It was just kind of, that element was just like off for me. It just didn't make sense. And that's the hard thing, is how do you make sense of the things that don't make sense, right?
Well, that also fits under more of the special effects type of thing, but yeah.
But overall, as a story, that was a huge element because that was his weapon, right? Like, true. So you had to know, like, that's what he was using to essentially attack and kill.
But he was also a brawler too. He was doing a lot of brawling in both movies.
Yeah, there definitely was that, and but yeah, his signature was the broom or the mop, which was utilized in a different manner in this one. So I mean, like, it was definitely interesting. I liked seeing some of the big name actors in it. I just, the movie overall was, generally all right for me. So
you want to go ahead and give this a rating, Kevin?
Yeah. Let's do I have? Yeah, I think Oh wait! One more line. Heavy line. So when he first gets changed, they did this element like Deuce Bigelow, male gigolo. If you, this is a weird throw. But what happened is, like, they do street scenes of where, like, there were characters in the streets and you'd hear random people yelling things and lines and stuff like that, which I always find funny because you could throw, like, a line randomly in there. And so he just recently turns into Toxic Avenger, and the townspeople are chasing him, and, like, you hear these random lines, and one of them was like, "That's how perverts run."
Wait, what?
The line was, "That's how perverts run."
Oh, that's how perverts run.
There we go. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, it was just like, I love stuff like that. So, like I said, it's definitely got some stuff in it, but then just some stuff was just so weird. Like how Kevin Bacon turned into like a devil version, like goat.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah. But all right, we'll go ahead and do a rating. All right.
Are we allowed to vote mid or just up or down?
Listen, there's a lot of turnstiles on this bad thumb, right? You can go up, down. It's like 180 degrees, so I'm okay. Just try to, for the listeners that aren't viewers, yes. I would say, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm going
mid. I'm going mid.
I'm like a third positive, I guess. Overall, I'd say it's positive. Reviews showed a lot higher than I would rate it, but overall, I'd say I think I was positive on it personally.
Yeah, I'm going to go mid to almost down. I was not... the only thing that would make it stay at mid is some of the lines in it, and that was pretty much it.
All right, I like it. You said, so, fuck them.
I mean, yeah, like, other than some of the lines, yeah. So let's move over to, Kev, the casting and the acting for the actors that they actually brought on board for this movie. What did you think of Winston Goose?
Yeah, I think you got to start first and foremost. I mean, there's a lot of obviously characters, but I think I only have like 5 or 6 I actually written down. I think the main core here, and obviously the most important is you got Peter Dinklage's Winston Toxie, right? I don't like this choice for the Toxic Avenger. I don't think he was the great representation of it. I don't know. I would have preferred. Not that I hate little people. I just don't think he embodied a dork and a dork element, which is what I thought it was supposed to go with. Like, I would imagine a skinny, scrawny dude. And that was kind of like, oh, he bulks up, superhuman power, and it just... I don't know. I didn't get the same kind of oomph. So his acting as an actor, I mean, this is what I was talking about. He's too good of an actor to be in a role where he's like almost like a Goomba of a person. Like he's not supposed to be well-rounded, and he just comes off too well-rounded. You need a clunky person in and lines and personality, and it just didn't give that vibe, in my opinion. Like I said, he acted too good. Like he couldn't act bad, and that's what I would prefer. So I don't think his casting was really where it should have been as far as that goes. How are you on that, Brian?
I 100% agree. I believe most of the casting.
Just start with him first.
Just with him, yeah, I agree with you. I think he probably would have made a better as far as the mobster or the corrupt businessman aspect. I think that would have been a better fit role versus, again, a nerdy, skinny person that kind of bulked up after this toxic waste. To me, it just wasn't believable that him being a little person getting mutated now became like twice the size, and I just didn't. I think he was not casted for the role that he actually was for him.
So I think we're relatively in a similar manner as far as that. I mean, the next person I'll go to is his son, which he wasn't a major player as far as acting goes, but he was a role as far as like motivation wise and part of the plot. I thought the kid was fine. I don't know if he was supposed to be flamboyant and almost a little gay or not, but he definitely gave that vibe towards the end of the movie, and which is fine. He also seemed to maybe have some quirks or like he had tics or something like that. Like, you know, he had some issues he was dealing with. Obviously, you know, being taken care of by your stepdad and no other family like that, that's hard. So, excuse me, there was a role of that was there, but the kid as an actor, I thought he did fine. I had no issues one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, talking about him along with like the females that were casted, I didn't have any issues with them at all. I don't think they were heavy in the story. I mean, the one girl got put, you know, some of the serum on her, and she got, you know, some of the superpowers or whatever. But as far as Wade, the stepson...
Hold on, I'm going to stop you there.
Hold on 1 second. So as far as with Wade, the stepson, one thing I think, going back to the story aspect as far as him casted, the casting for that was fine. But one part of the story I did like was when they were showing about how he was basically a performance actor and how he was shy and got basically laughed at on stage. And then he basically comes back at the end of the movie and basically does an amazing performance and everyone's clapping for him. So that is one thing I liked as far as showing basically from his stepdad basically becoming this loser into this superhero. Kind of rubbed off on him where he's like, you know what, I'm shy, I'm afraid, I'm being booed, I'm being laughed at, to now I am this performer on stage. So I did like that aspect in the story.
His best part was at the end of the movie after the credits when he was making Dinklage was making a grilled cheese and he's just dancing in the background. That was the best part. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this kid doing? Like, I'm like, I don't know, but like, if you have or known a kid or anything like that that's got weirdness to them, like that was a kid with weirdness about it, and that's why it was the best part. So, you started talking about the female JJ Doherty. Like, listen, I have a problem. I hope this is the stage name, but her name is Taylor Page. Did you see how her fucking name is spelled? Taylor. What in the British fuck is that nonsense? LOUR Taylor?
I mean, me and my daughter's mom tried to be unique and go with Tayler.
I just look. I saw that immediately, and like out of all the things that stood out, I'm like, what the fuck is that? I hate it immediately. So that just stood out. But she was a fine actor. I thought her character was stupid. Like, the concept of what she was supposed to be was fine, but her character, to me, provided no extra benefit. And this is where they would have been a lot better off if they would have made that character into a love interest. Because outside of that, it was fucking stupid.
Her being a great assistant? Or no, that was the
No, so she was trying to the former employee trying to show the corruption.
Yes.
And the thing is, she gets helped and like they just go their separate ways at the end of the movie. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. They could have made it more like in the original she was blind. Not that she got harmed or anything, but something like that could have happened. They fall in love. Even if it wasn't that, like, I don't know, it just seemed like maybe that's how life really works, but I don't know. The character just seemed dumb.
I mean, they didn't have a love story in this movie, but Kevin, they did have mobsters, and I love the mobster boss. He was badass as far as that casting. I thought he was awesome, given freaking Kevin Bacon's Bob Bart Garbinger shit the whole time. You know, basically checking his ass. I loved it.
But the thing is, what happened to the one-armed son? He just kind of disappeared. They showed him with it. They tried to reattach the arm, and it's like fucking backwards. And then he never is seen again. Like, you know what I mean? So maybe that's a way to add a sequel, right? A character like that, the arc was there, but it was once again like you needed to have the mobsters. I thought he did fine. I think I was with you. You mentioned that if Dinklage was the mob boss, that would have been way fucking cool.
Dude, that would have been really fucking cool, and that's why I said I didn't like the story.
That's okay. The concept of it is cool. The character for the character, that's where we're at. You know, exactly. As far as that goes.
But yeah, the mob boss, that would have been cool.
Speaking of Mr. Garbinger, Mr. Bob, that is Kevin Bacon. I thought that was a good role for him. I think he played in sort of like a superficial kind of just cared about himself and didn't care about anyone else, only wanted profits, but got in on the wrong crowd like lots of people do and owed some debts. And I think that was fine. I just, once again, they as far as tying into the story, they showed the mayor got in trouble and I think some other elected officials, and it's like, well, we didn't see them. That would have been better to have the interaction. So, but you could see the mob boss and Kevin Bacon's character were the main focus. He transformed, and I get why he took the thing, but like, I don't know. I was wondering, he was supposed to be a representation of the devil, sort of like because he transformed into a goat, which the Toxic Avenger was like a gooey green ball of weird tissue, and then he's a goat. I know it was refined, but it's also like. Then the chick turned into what the hell ever she was, just from a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck what are these characters?
So for some of the people out there, Kevin Bacon character, he looked like Young Gravy. Do you know what that is, Kevin? He's
Young
like,
Gravy?
Young Gravy.
The rapper. Yeah,
he looked like him. And then basically, he took the super soldier serum, and then basically turned into Krampus, basically.
You want Kevin Bacon looked like Justin Bieber circa 2012, bro. That's who he looked like. That fucking haircut. He's like, hey guys, my dad doesn't love me. He looked like he was emo as fuck with his haircut. But he was like all like trying to show off his body and stuff. So yeah, he was in the mirror. He was so fake, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But then he transformed into like I said, like he looked like he'd been going to like a German Christmas festival where he turned into Krampus. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like it was kind of a weird thing. But like it didn't he took this serum for a reason and it made sense. It just at the same time some of the transition was weird, but I think Kevin Bacon did a great job as far as that goes.
Yeah, I definitely think Kevin Bacon killed his role in it. So not that he needed to try too hard. He's a great actor, but it was fit for him pretty well.
I like that his assistant was like in love with him and he did not give two shits. And he's like, oh yeah, my assistant here. He's like, I'm your partner or whatever.
She's expendable, Kev.
Expendable. And she's like, oh my God, I need to be with him. Like that was pretty, like I love that element, the characters. And then he's one of my favorite actors of all time, Mr. Elijah Wood as the brother there. He was. This is what I meant. He was acting too good. He looked so good. He acted so good, and you needed it to be clunky. And he's too good. He it's like he was acting in a movie that he wasn't in like for a different movie. Like he came off so good. I loved it.
Kevin, he looked like the Penguin Rejects. Like, it was so bad. He was like the new version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
He looked like the butler from Scary Movie. Grab my strong hand job. Like, he had... God. His look was fine. His character element was fine. It was, like, good. He's just too good of an actor. It's like, the acting needed to be downgraded. You know what I mean? Like... So I love it. I loved him before Lord of the Rings. I know everyone thought Lord of the Rings. Like, I don't even think I love the Lord of the Rings like you and everybody else does.
Dude, I love me some
and that's the thing. I'm not that big on it. So I just love Elijah Wood's Wilford was amazing. You remember North? That's some throwback if you know the movie North. All right. So like he's been that guy forever for me. And from what I hear, he's even a better person. So. For real, like, shout out to the real one out there. But yeah, outside of that, like, those to me... Oh, and I put in a group here, the band group, was it the Nuts? The Killer Nuts?
The Killer Nuts.
I think as a whole entity, I didn't separate them out, but as a whole, I like them. I like what they brought. I thought being utilized in a weird crime element, they were on drugs, so they were just out of their mind.
One guy had a fucking rooster mask, and then he ripped it off and it was a baby.
But you know what? Like, so, okay, I want to cover this a little bit more when we get to visual effects. But yeah, like that made sense because if you're dealing with toxic waste, you have these fucking weird mutations and everything. And so to me, the concept of that made sense. I loved it. But we'll go into the visual aspect a little bit. So at this point, as far as characters go, I have no other ones I want to specifically cover unless you do.
Yeah, let's go ahead and rate this bad boy.
All right, so ready? Overall, I'm rating down. Yeah, I'm actually going down on this one as well.
I'm going down just because of the casting aspect.
Yes.
I think they casted a couple good people like Kevin Bacon and I think the mobster role could have been done by almost anybody. But again, like you said, I think they overcasted in a sense, and they could have switched even some of the casting around, and it would have made it so much of a better movie, I think.
Yeah, and maybe some of the actual story and the plot, if they were tied together, you probably could have done it with certain elements. But like I said, like not having a love twist kind of probably hurt the JJ's character, and just kind of, in my opinion, right? This is all opinion based. I just think. It could have been a little smoother as far as that goes, but no, I think these actors were too good to be in this movie with the way it was done. All right, I want to be specific about that. They could have been in a version of this, but the way it was done, I don't think really went well. So the casting, I think, is probably the biggest issue I have because that's the end of it. All right, next one we're going to switch over. My favorite sound effects and music. So nothing about this is really great. I will go back to the point that being able to create a song and have a band element is really more of, and this is a pet peeve of mine. They are not a fucking band. I'm using that because that's what they call it. They're a fucking group. They are like a rap group or a group like that. Those aren't bands.
A gang, Kevin. A gang.
Well, they're a gang in the sense of a gang, but like there's like 5 fucking orchestra singers singing together are not a band. That's just a musical group. So when people have a DJ and a rapper, that's not a fucking band. I've always thought that was the dumbest thing in the world, and I stand by that. Anyways. So the group element having their own song, I'll give them a nod for that because that's, like I said, you always got to appreciate that. That's an extra level that to put into it, and I actually think they do have their own song, literally. They have real ICP kind of twisted vibes if you're into that stuff, but Outside of that, there was this one kind of weird classic sounding. And my sound effects terrible.
I think it was that one to hear.
No. It's I don't remember where it is, but it's an old school like sound effects that makes you think of old horror movies, and I love that element. They did use that, but outside of that, like sound, sound is the sound. I mean, where are you at, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple well-used songs in it. However, it wasn't anything that like blew me away. So it was fine, but I don't think it was like memorable for the actual movie. So, but I don't think it was like bad. It was just more background music. As far as kind of like how a referee would be at a sports game.
You sound like me right now.
I know,
it's background noise. That's all it is. I mean, so if that's the case, we can skip right along and get this one over.
All right, I'm gonna go.
All right. Yeah, I'm going down because the music, that song they did make, unfortunately sucked balls, nuts intended, if you know what I mean. It just wasn't really a good one. It wasn't like, some other bangers that have come out of some like Back to the Future. You know what I mean? Back in Time, Huey Lewis and the News. Fuck yeah. But anyways.
Or a theme song for a movie.
Yeah.
Like even with him being a superhero... Does he have a superhero theme song? I don't even know.
As far as I know, he doesn't.
Yeah, so like, Superman has a theme song. Batman has a theme song.
Spider-Man might have the best theme song.
So why? So X-Men, why doesn't?
Oh, a cartoon X-Men.
Yes, 97, baby.
Yeah,
Did you ever see that cartoon on 97? I think it was on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, it's been on Disney Plus.
Well, I know it's been for a while. I haven't seen that, so I'm gonna have to go watch that.
That's up there too. But the Spider-Man cartoon one from the 90s, dude, that one.
So, anyway. When I think superhero, I think iconic theme song.
For
and they
sure.
do not have an iconic theme song.
For sure. So, all right. Now, this is obviously the visuals is what we're going to go into next. And when you have something along the lines with mutants and weirdness, you're going to have visuals, right? So, how is it done? So, I don't think his suit was bad looking. I actually thought his suit was relatively fine looking, except, and this is actually a big problem for me. His one eye, his lower eye, it was like all black and like a red center, but his other eye was like blue. It was like almost normal looking, and I thought that black eye made him look like a fucking cyborg. Or something like that, and I thought it looked terrible. I was okay that the size was bigger. I thought it was good that it popped out and hung out sometimes. I think that I haven't seen him, like I said, a couple years, but I thought that happened once in the original too, where an eye popped out at one point. You saw it more recently than I did.
I don't remember that part. I actually think the wardrobe, since you kind of mentioned that, we kind of talked about some of the elements earlier, Kev. I actually liked the pink tutu because the original it was black and it looked like overalls and stuff, and he was just muddy. This one actually looks more like an actual tutu. But they probably stole that from Ace Ventura.
But honestly, if you fell into a fucking vat of ooze, how come your clothes look fucking normal?
That's true. Exactly.
All right. So I love that the tutu's still there. But it's like everything around him was fine. He just turned green. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, But like his skin, his like it was like lumpy and how that would look. His brain was showing a little bit, which was
It reminded me of Sloth, Kevin. Honestly, like the original and this one was Sloth-esque.
Yeah.
From the Goonies. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, but the original, if that was '84, I think that would have been done before the Goonies.
It would have been.
So
I don't even
not
know if
saying they're borrowing ideas or concepts,
and they probably did. Honestly,
you can do things like that. I don't think that makes you bad or anything. I just think you just can't total copy. Obviously, you're a mutant. The idea of having one eye falling is so much better. And the other one is if he's beaten, abused. Yeah, that does dropped on your head. How many times? Dropped by the baby. The mom said, and he's like, "Oh no, slot on." Yeah.
Since you just made that voice, I need to bring up, Kevin. I was reading earlier. Arnold was actually in talks for basically the role in the film.
For the Toxic Avenger?
Yes. I'm dead serious.
See, that's the thing where I can't see him being the pre-Toxic Avenger, or the character in this case was Winston. I think he doesn't fit the mold. But if they did like a post where he was the Green Mutant character, that would have been cool. That would have been fun.
That's what I'm saying. He probably would have been the after, not the nerdy beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, you could still even
imagine Arnold nerdy as fuck, like like in the
Chris Evans. If they did the Chris Evans thing with the Super Soldier, that would have been funnier.
It would have been reminding me of freaking the girl Ghostbuster movies, which I know is Taboo, where they have the what's his face who plays the fucking nerdy receptionist. Chris. No, it was who played Thor.
Yeah, isn't it that Chris Holm? No, Chris.
Oh my god.
It's one of the brothers.
Yeah, it's one of the brothers.
Yeah, there's a Chris of one of the brothers. I don't know. I don't have to remember these fucking names. Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Hemsworth. Yeah. See, I fucking told. Well, he's got a brother.
But yeah, he was basically nerdy as shit, or he'd be like fucking Urkel, like he's nerdy as fuck, and then basically becomes Stefan.
I guess there's an element you could. I think it would be funnier if they would have like not even really showed him too much, where you wouldn't know it was Arnold. And it's kind of like the Will Ferrell and the Wedding Singer, where they didn't show any commercials with Will Ferrell in it, and then the movie comes out, and that was the first sign you saw it. Dude, I fucking lost my shit. I was dying so bad. I had no idea. One of the only times I've ever been hard surprised in a movie was Will Ferrell and the Wedding Singers. Like, if they never really showed him, and then, like, he's the Toxic Avenger version, that would have been fucking hilarious. But, like, that's elements you could have played with. I know, like, there was voiceover, so even if it wasn't Arnold's voice, you could have done a voiceover, because they said Peter Dinklage wasn't doing a lot of the movements, although he, I guess, practiced something, is what I read. So, as far as the look of it, I got really deterred when I saw that fucking eye. I'm like, what kind of robot shit is this? It threw me off bad, and that was that.
I mean, the Terminator was already taken. So.
For real.
But I did like that they used the practical gore effects in it, and they also used some of the CG. So they did kind of use a bodysuit and makeup from what I read, but then Dinklage was dubbing in dialogue in post, which, meh. Like
it's fine, like, because I can understand but that's the element of why they should have just went with a different person in that role to begin with.
Agreed.
To be honest with you, if they would have done that, and like the movements would have been more uniform with the person, but it didn't have to be. But still, as far as I'll circle back to the fucking mop, that thing was dumb, and I don't know, like it was just the mop end, not the handle, nothing else. And it was like smoky, like it was like it had this like vibrant coloring, like it was like toxic waste and neon lighting.
It did have vibrant toxic waste in those barrels that were in the original.
But the handle was normal wood? Give me a fucking break. Like, it just, like, I know they wanted to make his weapon unique, and that would have been fine. I wish they wouldn't have made it solid. It was like literally like a fucking stuck together 1900s broom, those old school witch things. That's what it looked like to me.
It looked like a giant toothbrush.
Yeah, if you were like a fucking troll. That really lost me as far as that goes. The killing, the murder, I hated, because it was not okay. The kills were fun. I liked the kills, how they killed him and what he did. That was fun. The CGI, I fucking was pissed off about. I hated it. This is where the element of using like real like prosthetic pieces mixed with that bad effect of what that can look like is what they lost on. And maybe it's maybe easier for the actors in the moment, because I know that it's time consuming to do some of that and it's hard to get multiple shots. But CGI looked like CGI, and most of the time it does. Very rarely does it look really good, in my opinion. And you could tell, and for that fact, I did not like a lot of the kills. Once they had like a head placement on the ground because it was already cut off, and they like ran it over and so like that's fun. Like, that's the old school like feel I want. But like, when you watch him swipe the head, you could totally tell it just looked bad. They should have just made a body double, and I think that would have been bad. Even if it didn't look the same, that's part of the trauma element that that I thought was missing, which I thought could have been way better.
What did you think of the chicken or the rooster drinking the toxin sludge, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, that looked like something classic style, like just
That reminded me of, whatchamacallit? Celebrity, no, was it Celebrity Deathmatch? Or was it Robot Chicken? One of the two.
Both of them, really, in a way. Claymations.
Yeah. What did you, this has got to be the weirdest and corniest horror film I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, no. Oh, no. There is way worse.
Okay, well, God, I'm excited to
Monstered, if you really want to waste some time. Monstered. Anyways, go on.
I mean, did they piss acid like they did in this movie? Or toxic waste?
It's a murdering piece of shit, and I'm not exaggerating.
I mean, I can't wait till we watch Sharknado, Kev. Or Hannibal the Musical. So yeah, we should have people post in the comments what's the worst movies they've seen.
Listen, yeah, and I want to. I mean, even if you watch some '80s horror movies, there are some bad gems. You know what? '90s made some bad gems too. So, I just. Yeah, as far as the murder scenes, I like them to be bad and bloody. Like the point of Toxic Avenger originally was to be kind of funny slasher-esque, right? But a superhero. So that was like, which I did write down because it did make me laugh. Is even trauma to the T. They still had titties. I was like, you didn't have to do that. But back then, they had a lot more. Like, it was the kind of the style they did. Like I said, it was like classic Friday the 13th. Like, why did you have to have the titties in there? You didn't have to. But they did it back then, and it's like they made a point to do it again. So I thought that they had a quick scene in a new one. I was like, that's funny. It was actually really funny to me, as I didn't think they were going to do that.
Well, they were trying to aim for a PG-13 release, a family-friendly version of this movie.
You can't do a family-friendly one if you do it right. Not for that character. You don't do that. So that was pretty funny to me. And circling to Kevin Bacon's character, like I said, the goat thing. This is where the prosthetics looked good on him. But this is where, like, what was the point of it? Like, why is your character turning into a fucking goat? Like, or is it like a demon representative? But it's like, all right, I don't even know how you get to that from that, but at the same time, you want, like, it looked too good. Like, it looked like I wanted it to be bad. That was what I missed about the original Toxic Avenger. I was like, oh my God, I'd laugh because nothing is funny. It's just so bad looking at times.
Well, and
I miss that.
I think the realism of that is Toxic Avenger was exposed, obviously, to the barrel of, the open chemicals. They did experiment with the chemicals a couple times to try to refine it, and it wasn't working. And he was, Kevin Bacon's character was yelling at the scientist, "Get it right, perfect it, blah, blah, blah." And then eventually he just took it. So, but
why
to your
goats?
point, though, yeah,
why a goat?
But even then, I don't think it would have been a goat or even that perfected still. There should have still been some, it
was like literally like
some of it's still messed up where it's not a perfect demon goat.
Yeah, but it's like they made it an animal, and it's like, why is it a normal looking animal? And then the chick tried getting a few droplets in her and everything, and then she looked like
she reminded me of a
bad Harley Quinn or something like that.
Yeah, she reminded me of like a vampire or something like that.
I'm like, what the fuck? How is that even close? Like, it looked like the Joker when he was dressed up as a nun, Heath Ledger's version. Like, it's just the makeup was like smeared down. I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that's supposed to be. I like some of that, like in a sense, it didn't look bad, but it didn't look good for what I thought the movie would be going for. So, I mean, outside of that, like, I don't know. Is there anything else that sticks out to you? I think that about covers what I want to cover.
Yeah, I mean, there was gas that came from the statue, and like I said, they pissed acid, toxic waste in both movies.
That was a funny idea. Yeah,
that was. Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to kind of vote.
All right.
I mean, I don't have much.
Let's
more to
do
add to
this. Boop,
category.
boop, 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 boop.
I'm going thumbs down.
I'm going down too. Like, I want to give it more, but in certain areas, and maybe I'm jaded because I do like the original. It's just I thought there would be an element that you try to go for, and in a recreation, you gotta be careful, and they kind of missed the mark with that creation of the murder scenes, which were a huge element of it, and the way the Toxic Avenger looked. Like, I liked a lot of it, but then, like I said, the eye just looked, it's like black with a red dot. I'm like, what the fucking cyborg is happening here? So, and then of course, so we'll move on to our last category is just the general overall rating of this movie and rewatchability as far as that goes. Brian, you want to start? Or you want me to do this one first?
I'll go ahead and start.
Right.
So, with as far as what the audience is saying, and Rotten Tomatoes, 86% of 139 critics reviews are positive. Like the original, The Toxic Avenger isn't for everyone, but viewers seeking an extremely gory, extremely silly good time won't be disappointed. Metacritic assigned the film of a score of 65 out of 100, based on 21 critics indicating general favor of reviews. And this is where, again, me and Kevin don't always agree
suck.
with the critics.
They fucking suck.
And
They're
even the
stupid.
audience. So, if you were coming between watching the new Toxic Avengers 2023 or the original 1984, in my opinion, go with the original. This remake was not as good.
I saw a musical adaptation of this movie like 6-7 years ago, and that was obviously it was at a college in, I think, Naperville or something like that. And that adaptation was way better and entertaining than this. Not that I'm a huge musical guy. I really don't like musicals. But it's just one of those things where they had so much ability and probably a bigger payroll than the first one ever would have had, but they just missed the mark of what made the movie the cult classic that it was. It might be favorable to some, but I don't know how many of these people were familiar with the older stuff. If you're basing off of star power itself, like I said, Dinklage, Elijah Wood, Kevin Bacon, those are some top tier names, and I think they might have been able to be utilized, but I don't know if they were utilized in the right sense of the word of the characters, and just maybe it was a bad casting. Maybe they would have just been better off going with a little bit more unknown and potentially even just bad actors, to be honest with you, because that's really the heart of, to me, of what was in this character and whatnot. If you want to be silly and do that, to use characters and actors that are just really good actors, sometimes it's really hard to be funny when you're just a good actor. My understanding is Dinklage wanted to kind of get out of that form and whatnot of what he'd been known for, but he'd been known as a little bit of a silly actor, but this is not his kind of silly that I've experienced with him be, so I don't know. He just kind of missed. I think Elijah Wood's character, his portrayal was a little funnier to me, but once again, he's almost too good to be in this meant to be badly designed concept of a movie, and that's where I just think it just misses. And so the characters or these actors are amazing. I just not in this type of role. I think you lost it, and I'm like, oh, the first thing I saw is when I saw the picture on Hulu. I see fucking I don't even see Toxie. I fucking see Elijah Wood's hunchback character, and I'm like, oh shit, he's in it. I'm like, I gotta see this now, and that's when I saw it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, Brian, dude, I want to see this shit.
So we want to rate this section, Kevin, and then wrap up?
All right, we'll go ahead and give this a rating. So as far as let's go is rewatchability and enjoyment, I'm going down. I'm going down. I think you could watch it again, but are you paying me to watch it again? Or because I wouldn't. The original, I definitely I liked it more. I have watched it before and would watch it again. But they're also bad movies, so you might not want to watch it over, like, until it's a certain time period. But
I also just looked up the box office, Kevin. 3.4 million. I think they lost money on the movie because I think it was about 5 million to actually make it. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up and give our final thoughts as far as our overall rating and summary of the actual movie. Mine is quick. I think the casting could have done better as far as moving some of them around. The story, if you're looking for like a corporate demise of a type of movie, this would definitely hit the mark, but the overall story wasn't very strong. The special effects were kind of mid. The music was okay. So overall, it was a barely mid, below movie. I would, again, if you're going to decide between the two, go with the older movie, in my opinion.
Sometimes you have to be careful trying to make a bad movie good. This, I know, I sound like an animal right now. Like, if I go into something, right, like one of the hugest issues with failure with movies and fandoms, I think, is an expectation. And so this movie had an expectation of, oh, this is going to be some dumb, funny stuff. And I go into it, and I'm not getting that vibe like I did from the first one. That's one of the hardest things about, I think, recreating, which is why you're better off just sticking to making something new. It's so hard. So I think you did okay with the storyline as far as I'm concerned, but most everything outside of that kind of really missed the mark on what I was expecting to be a fun recreation of the old one. And in a way, I guess it was. It just wasn't my fun, as these fucking critics who seem to know everything that's rate this much higher than I would. So it is what it is. But if you watch it and think differently, let us know, because we're not exactly having it. So poo-poo on that party right here. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, my overall rating, Kevin, a big fat thumbs down.
Definitely some thumbs down.
With some toxic love coming out of it.
You giant monster, you.
Well, Kev, let's go ahead and close this out. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode.
Please like, subscribe to our pages, comments. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as YouTube. Brian lets me know when I should do certain things, and I try to keep up with it. I'm kind of bad sometimes.
Hey, you're getting better, Kev. So,
I'm trying
if you enjoyed us, just go ahead and support us on social media, and then let us know what you'd like to see us review, because that would be a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, we got tons of stuff we like, and we're going to keep doing that, but I'm interested in certain suggestions. So, we just got to get time to, either watch, enjoy, or read and research a little bit of some of this stuff, which we try to do a little bit. I don't read's good, so no. It's one of those things. It's, as an adult, if you're not interested anymore, you don't have to do so much these things. So, I try to find stuff I'm more interested in, but either way, I like the idea of trying to do something we haven't heard.
All right, we're out of here. Peace out, nerds.
Peace.